The following Zoom session is being recorded and will appear later today on my YouTube channel, Math with Mayo. Therefore, when you participate in a Zoom meeting, if you do not wish for your picture or your name to be made public, please leave the video off and use an alias name. If you have questions during the meeting but do not wish to speak, email me at bmail@ybcc.edu and I'll respond as soon as I can. So today we're going to start chapter 3. And chapter 3 involves graphing, and we'll be learning some basic vocabulary to deal with graphing, as well as some other things as we continue. Okay, so what I want to do, first of all, is take a look at a grid. So what we have here is referred to as the rectangular coordinate system, or sometimes it's called the XY plane. The grid. Anyway, what we have is a horizontal line that is called the X. Oops, hang on here. It won't let me draw. Here we go. The X axis. We have a vertical line that's called the Y axis. They both work kind of like a number line, except now we're in 2 dimensions. So if we just had the x-axis, I suppose that would be like a number line, but we have this additional dimension, the y-axis. Okay, so on the x-axis and on the y-axis, we have a scale. You can see that it's marked at 5, and if you go from the point where they cross, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the right, there's a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the left, a -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units up the y-axis is a +5, and down below the -5. So for this particular coordinate system, the scale is 1 square is 1 unit. The point where the x and the y-axis intersect is called the origin. All right. When we plot points or graph points, we start at the origin and count from there to calculate where to plot points. A point on this graph, again, I mentioned it was 2 dimensions, two-dimensional. A point on this graph has 2 pieces of information to locate it, and they are written in a form that looks something like this. This is called an ordered pair. The first number is called the x coordinate, and the second number is called the y coordinate. Okay, to locate a point on the graph, so let's start over and let's say that we have the following ordered pair 2, 5. To locate that point on the graph, we start at the origin. Okay, you don't need to plot a point there, but I'm just establishing because you can't see what I'm doing unless I mark it there. And we go 2 units to the right and 5 units up. So right there is the point whose coordinates are 2, 5. Let's say we want to plot the point -3, 4. So the x coordinate, 1, 2, 3, -3. The y coordinate, 1, 2, 3, is right there. So there's the point -3, 4. Okay. Get rid of all this other stuff here. No, well. Anyway, any questions about that so far? Okay, let's see here. This rectangular coordinate system is divided into 4 quadrants. They are labeled using Roman numerals and in a counterclockwise fashion. So this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. Notice that in quadrant 1, all of the values are positive because the x values are positive and the y values are positive. Quadrant 3, they're all negative. The x's are negative, the y's are negative. And then 2 and 4, one of them's positive, one of them is negative. Sometimes a graph appears only in the first quadrant if all the values that we're trying to graph or are 0 or positive, then the whole thing might just be in quadrant 1. Okay, let me see here. We've talked about the x-axis and the y-axis in all 4 quadrants, the origin and an ordered pair. Just want to make sure I didn't forget some of the vocabulary. Give me just a second here to make sure I talked about everything I wanted to. Let's see. Yes, we talked about that. Okay. So what I want to do now is take a look at Webassign. So hang on a second here. You see here where there's a picture of a graph. Have I got that? Everybody see that? Somebody tell me yes or no. Karina?
Yeah, I see it.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Yep, we see it.
Okay. Thank you. Just want to make sure sometimes I don't click the right button and people are like, what are you talking about? All right. So when you have a graph like this and you're going to plot points. So these are individual ordered pairs referring to points on the graph. We're only going to plot points at this point, no pun intended. So we're going to click on this button till it turns blue that has just points, okay? Now, the first point, the coordinates are -3, 1. So notice the scale on this graph, there's actually 2 squares equal 1 unit. So each square is a half of a unit. So -3 on the x-axis is right here. Now I don't want to click on it because I have to also have the y-coordinate. The y-coordinate is 1. So -3, 1 is right there. Okay. Now, let's say that I'm not sure if I plotted the point correctly. I can come over here to point 1 and click on it. And there are the coordinates, -3, 1. In fact, if I wanted to, I could come in here and I could change it to -3, 2. Of course, that would be incorrect, but let me give you another example. Okay, so there's point 1. The next one is 5, 4.5. So x is 5, y is 4.5. Now, I deliberately plotted it incorrectly so that I could show you again how I can correct this. I can say, oh, wait, it's not at 5, 4.5. So I need to change it to 5, 4.5. All right. So again, over here, you can correct the x and y coordinates of a point. Later on, especially when we do some graphing, sometimes it won't let us graph fractions or something without putting the information over here. We'll deal with that when the time comes. But all right, third point, -5. -5 halves. Well, -5 halves would be -2.5 as a mixed number. So -5, -2.5. I think it's right there. Let's see. Yeah, -5, -2.5. Okay, is equivalent to -5 halves. 0.
Mr. Mayo, you're cutting out, and
Oh, my voice is? Hello? Karina, can you hear me okay?
oh,
Where? Okay.
Am I back now?
Yes,
There
you're
you
there.
go.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, just a second. I want to make sure it's still recording. Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi kicked me off there.
Oh,
Yeah, it was me, and then it came back again. All right. So let's see. We had just plotted the third point, and there's the coordinates to that, right? So everybody okay with that?
yes.
All right. So the fourth point, 0, -6. So x is 0, which is right there. Y is -6, which is right there. So 0, -6. 3 halves, 0. So 3 halves would be 1.5. comma 0 is right there. Okay. And then 3.5, negative 5.5. Okay. What would the coordinates be of the origin right there? Anybody?
Wouldn't that be
0, 0.
0, 0?
You're both correct. Excellent. Okay, so let's see here. I'll grade this and see what it says. So everything's correct there. All right. So I also want to look at another problem. Let's see here. How do I get this one to... Here we go. Practice another version. All right. So in this example, instead of having the coordinates and plotting the points, we have the points and we're going to write down what the coordinates are. So point A, X would be 5, Y would be 0. Now I've already got the parentheses. So I've got 5. I need to separate the X and Y coordinates with a comma and then a space and then 0. So point A is at 5, 0. Point B is at 1, 6. So the X coordinate is 1, the Y coordinate is 6. Point C, the X coordinate is negative 2, the Y coordinate is negative 3. So negative 2, space, negative 3. Okay. D is at the origin. So 0, space, 0. And again, I want to point out that this already has parentheses. So if you include parentheses in your answer, it'll mark it wrong because it's already provided. Sometimes they provide part of the answer, sometimes they don't. So you have to really pay attention to that. E, negative 4, 4. And finally, F, it looks like it's what? 2.5, negative 4.5. 2.5, negative 4.5. And let's see how I did. Okay. Any questions about that example?
No.
Okay. Some common mistakes that students will make, as well as teachers sometimes, is you get your X and your Y coordinates backwards. So as you're plotting it, you get them backwards, or as you're labeling, you get them backwards. So be careful with that example or that idea. Okay, there's another problem I wanted to look at here. Let's see. This one. Okay. And I'm going to practice another version because once I did it earlier to try it out, it won't let me delete it and start over. Okay. So here we have a graph. And can you see that it's basically quadrant 1? Notice our scale along the x-axis, 1 square is 1 unit. But our scale along the y-axis, 1 square is 50 units. So we can have a different scale on the x and the y-axis, but you'd need to label them as such. All right. It says the table below shows the number of people at a public swimming pool at various times during the day. 0 represents noon, 1 represents 1 p.m., and so on. Plot the data in the table as ordered pairs, then draw a straight line passing through the points. All right, so what's going on here? Time is the first coordinate, and that's along this x-axis or the horizontal axis. The number of people present at the swimming pool is the vertical or the y-axis. So think of this as an ordered pair 0, 550, another ordered pair 3, 400, and finally a third ordered pair 5, 300. All right. So again, plot the data in the table as ordered pairs. So 0, 550. I'm going to plot points. So I have to make this blue. Time is 0. And the number of people is 550. So right there. And again, I can see that 0, 550. Okay. Then 3 is at 400. So 3, 400. Okay. And finally, 5 is at, oh, wait a minute. I didn't do that correctly, did I? It should be 3 is at 400. So I can come back in here and change that. There we go. 5 is at 300. 5, 300. Okay. So there's our 3 points. Now, it says then draw a line passing through the points. How do I do that? After I've plotted the points, I go over here and click on the line. Now I want to point something out here. This is a line. It has arrows at both ends, so it goes on in both directions. This is a ray, which is not the same. It has an endpoint and then goes off in one direction forever. And this is a line segment. If you're asked to draw a line, you don't want either of these second or third ones. You want a line. Now, how do I graph that? I go back over here and I click on the points, and there is my line passing through the points that I've graphed already. Okay, any questions about that?
No.
All right, people that haven't watched this video are going to have a lot of questions because this is not real intuitive. You got to kind of, it took a while for me to figure it out. And I had to ask some of my colleagues on some of this stuff. So again, okay, now, how many people will be at the pool at 6 p.m.? Recall that noon or 0 represents noon. So 6 p.m. is right here. And if I go up there, the y coordinate is 250. So how many people will be at the pool at 6 p.m.? 250. Okay. At what time will there be 500 people at the pool? So what is the input, the time that results in 500 people is the output? Right here, there's 500 people, and that is 1 hour after afternoon. So that is at 1 p.m. At what time will the number of people at the pool be half of what it was at noon? At noon, it was 550. So half of that would be what? Let's see, 250 plus 20, 275. So at what time will the number of people be 275? So that's right there, which is what, 5:30? So 5:30. Okay. Any questions about that particular problem?
No.
All right. So do you think you're okay with how to use the graphing and everything for this stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, let me take a quick look here. Let's see, that's a review problem there, but so these first questions have to do with vocabulary, fill in the blank. This is called what? It would be an ordered pair kind of thing. In the ordered pair, the blank coordinate is 4. That is what the x coordinate, and the y coordinate is -6. Where the 2 meet in the middle is called what? The origin. Okay, what do you call the 4 regions? They're called
Quadrants.
quadrants. And again, they're labeled, let's see, let's go down here to a graph. So this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. And again, they use Roman numerals. About the only time we see Roman numerals nowadays are for the Super Bowl. They always have what Super Bowl it is. And if you watch a movie, if you look at the credits, sometimes at the bottom, it'll give the year that it was produced in Roman numerals. If you're really quick and you're good at Roman numerals, you can figure out it's like 1943 or something like that. But anyway, so they're labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I think that's all I have for you today, but it's important that you do learn the vocabulary words, because as we go through the chapter, a lot of times questions will be, Can you find the point in the first quadrant, blah, 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 or what is the X coordinate of this point? And so you want to learn those, the vocabulary, all right? Well, I'm going to stop the recording.